Sandra, I think they have you on this side,
Yeah,
but you
right
can
here.
stand wherever.
Yep, right here.
Oh, we got a lot of cameras here.
Thank you for inviting us.
Well, thank you for being here. I'm gonna move this a little. Does that mess you up? Okay, I can't. Well, good morning. Thank you all for being here. Before I begin, I do want to mention that there's a young man who works with me. His name is Martin. It's his birthday.
Happy birthday!
He likes attention, so make sure you shake his hand and say hi to him. We'll sing after. It's a pleasure to join you all at this incredible library today. I want to begin by thanking a couple folks here. Greg McCormick is the director of our libraries for the state of Illinois, a great leader, a great friend, a big part of our team, and a partner in our passion for making sure we have the best library system in the United States. One of the finest congressmen in the United States of America, a great friend, a great leader, someone who has always fight for those who don't have, always have a voice fighting for themselves. My good friend and our great leader, Congressman Chuy Garcia. We also have leader Lisa Hernandez, who is also not just a great friend and a great ally, but someone who cares deeply about the state of Illinois. She's someone who I look up to for advice and counsel in Springfield. She just had a fun time finishing up the budget. She's happy to take all your questions about the budget today. I'm just kidding. Lisa Hernandez, who also cares deeply about this community. And finally, I want to recognize Cicero Library Director Sandra Thompson, who gave us half of a tour. Thank you for your leadership. Thank you for all that you do for this library. And I'm looking forward to coming back for the grand opening. And I also want to thank you for your passion and dedication, which is emblematic of the thousands of librarians throughout Illinois who work hard for their communities every single day. And I know we're here to discuss the need for additional funding and technical resources, but it's also important to note that for what libraries like Cicero don't have, as we just noticed, they make up for in other ways. And all you have to do is look around this incredible libraries. Their creative displays and homespun feel throughout the building spark imagination and creativity. It showcases the library's commitment to not only learning, but making sure that there is something for everyone and that all are welcome. It's not just a library, it's a church, it's a school, it's a community haven, it's a life haven, it's a life center, and even to many a second home. We are here today to announce the allocation of $2 million in new grant funding for technology upgrades for Illinois. I'm going to say that one more time. We're here today to announce the allocation of $2 million in new grant funding for technology upgrades for libraries located in some of our most underserved communities across the state. We must do more to help our most vulnerable and least resourced libraries across Illinois. One of this administration's priorities has been to modernize the office and utilize technology to make the lives of our residents easier. As the state's librarian, our commitment and goals for modernization are the same. Our libraries serve as pillars of their communities. They provide essential services to our families by facilitating access to information, inspiring ideas, and fostering a passion for lifelong learning. That has never changed, and inside this building, it never will. But as the world changes and technology evolves, libraries must transform as well so they can deliver programming and services that meet the needs of their customers and communities. Even at times in the pandemic when physical libraries were closed, they loaned e-books, CDs, and digital movies. More recently, computer labs at public libraries have become a true lifeline for people applying for jobs and doing their first Zoom interviews. Some are even lending out laptops and Wi-Fi devices. 60 years ago, in 1964, way before the time Chewy and I were born, President Lyndon Johnson signed an amendment to the Federal Library Services Act. It called for expanding library services, making them more accessible to rural Americans. It also authorized grants for additional resources in urban areas and the renovation of old libraries and the construction of new ones all across the nation. Upon signing the act, President Johnson remarked, "Good public libraries must be placed within the reach of all of our people." He closed by saying, quote, "Libraries are for everyone, and therein lies their real value." Those words still resonate some 60 years later, reminding us that the core mission of our libraries still holds true today. But therein lies the rub. If libraries are for everyone, then they must be created equally for everyone to realize their real value. Today, libraries serve as access points for computers and high-speed internet services that aren't always available depending on where you live. Technology provides critical learning opportunities, employment resources, and digital literacy programming. But depending on your physical address, your local library might look like a high-end Apple store, or sadly, it might look the exact same as it did in the 1960s, with very few aesthetic or structural upgrades at all. For example, the public library here in Cicero serves a population of more than 85,000 residents. Next door, and we're not here to bang on Oak Park serves more than 54,000 residents, or about 30,000 fewer people. But comparing this year's fiscal budget for both library districts, the revenue from property taxes that went to the local library amounted to $1.76 million for the Cicero Library, compared to more than $11 million for the Oak Park Library. That's nearly 10 times the amount of funding per capita for the Oak Park Library, despite having 30,000 fewer residents, and it being located literally across the street. That's a geographic disparity, and one that we need to narrow, and what we're working on today. Every library wants to keep up with their residents' needs, but they need the resources to do it. That's why I'm so proud to announce these technology grants, the first time we've ever made these grants in the Secretary of State's office. This program evaluates which libraries in the state are most in need of funding and provides some assistance to elevate services and introduce new resources through technology. We've identified 113 public library districts throughout the state, including 18 in Cook County. Altogether, they serve over 1.2 million residents. These grants will help our libraries bolster their technology infrastructure, expand online services and e-resources, increase Wi-Fi capacity and internet accessibility, and purchase adaptive technologies to accommodate service needs for people with disabilities. We need to put value in preserving these treasured institutions. This funding can be transformed for these 113 communities by helping to bridge the digital divide through this investment that we are making for future generations to come. I'll open up to questions afterward, but I do want to let these leaders behind me say a few words. So I'll start with Congressman Chuy Garcia. Congressman.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary, our state librarian, for being here, and of course bearing good news. Libraries can change your life. It did for mine. I met my wife at the Tolman Library in Chicago in 1974. Been married for 46 years, and today we take our grandson to the library. But you should go inside the library as well after you do the meeting of interesting people that visit libraries. Thank you, Secretary of State, for being here, and thank you, Leader Hernandez, for all of your work and your collaboration in Springfield to generate resources to invest in libraries. I'm very excited that the funds announced today will help bring the Cicero Library to make important upgrades in technology infrastructure to benefit all of the community and to begin leveling the disparities that the Secretary has highlighted. People come to the library to do many things. They do research, they look for jobs, they make connections. It's a safe place for children, for adults, and for everyone. Our children, millennials and Gen Zs, are digital natives, but other people are not, and some of us need more help acclimating to the world that we live in. But the digital divide, as was underscored, is very real, and the disparities in broadband access become even greater and evident during the pandemic. And libraries help many people in my district bridge that gap. Digital equity is a matter of justice, and libraries help provide that access to technology. I'm proud to champion efforts in Congress to ensure that we address the digital divide and connect our communities across geographies and generations. And most recently, with the historical bipartisan infrastructure law, we invested $42 billion into expanding our nation's broadband so that more homes, libraries, and schools could have greater connectivity. Addressing the digital divide will require the collaboration of all levels of government and agencies, as well as trusted community organizations. So I'm excited to continue working in partnership with all of you as we expand opportunities and increase access to information and connect our communities. Muy buenos días. Quiero agradecer al secretario de Estado, que es el bibliotequero del Estado de Illinois, y también a la líder Hernández por sus esfuerzos en la capital del Estado para hacer inversiones como estas. Las bibliotecas en nuestras comunidades son una institución esencial que proveen acceso a la educación, a información, a muchos otros recursos, incluyendo el obtener aplicaciones para empleo y muchas otras cosas en particular que sirven a los niños y a los adultos en nuestra comunidad. Esta mañana estamos enfatizando la importancia de la conectividad electrónica para todas nuestras comunidades. Quiero agradecer al secretario de Estado por estar aquí reconociendo el papel tan importante. En el Congreso de Estados Unidos hemos invertido $42 mil millones en la infraestructura de conectividad electrónica para todas las comunidades. Este es un gran ejemplo de la importancia que juega esa inversión y lo mucho que tenemos que hacer para que comunidades como esta tengan el mismo acceso y la equidad que merecen para mejorar su bienestar educativo, informativo y la conectividad social también. Muchas gracias a todos los socios de este esfuerzo para mejorar a nuestra comunidad. Mil gracias.
Thank you, Congressman. I did not know that story about you and your wife. That's another function of our libraries. They bring people together. And I want to introduce Representative Lisa Hernandez. And the truth of the matter is, without help from the legislature, this would not be possible. So I want to thank her for her leadership. Making budget decisions is tough. We will continue to not only bring awareness to this issue, but fight for funding. So I want to thank Leader Lisa Hernandez and allow her to say a few words. Leader.
Thank you, Secretary. Good morning, everyone. I think it's morning still. Thank you for joining us today. I want to start by thanking Secretary Giannoulias for all you do to better the lives of the people of Illinois. Also want to thank the Congressman for being here. It's essential because him being at the federal level has a lot to do with bringing the necessary resources to make our communities thrive. I also just want to add to Secretary Giannoulias, his efforts are tremendous. What he has been doing for the state of Illinois, I have to highlight. But this is just an example of many of what he is accomplishing in these days. Also need to thank the Cicero Library leadership and their team, starting with Director Sandra Thompson, for making Cicero Library one of the best. I'm well aware of your passion to making that happen. Little resources, but look it, we have a making space now. This is news to me, and I don't know if I let it out of the bag and it wasn't supposed to be said yet, but I'm just so proud to hear the accomplishments that are occurring here. I'm thrilled to be here today in my hometown of Cicero to witness the announcement of the Illinois Secretary of State's Library Tech Grants for this coming year, especially since the Cicero Library has been selected as the recipient of this award. I cannot emphasize enough the importance of investing in communities that run short of the resources needed to keep themselves accessible to information, materials, and services. Libraries are vital for these reasons and more. We live in the era of technology that is advancing at such a fast rate, making it critical to assure funding reaches communities like Cicero. This is a great way to tackle the digital divide. So with that, I just want to thank once again the Secretary for all your work and efforts on this endeavor, and I certainly look forward to working with you to continue bridging the digital divide for our residents. Thank you.
And lastly, I want to introduce the leader of this great library, someone who's doing a terrific job with much more on the horizon, Ms. Sandra Thompson. Sandra.
Thank you. Thank you, State Giannoulias. We are so happy that you chose and announced this wonderful grant for libraries. Thank you, all the elected officials and the guests in attendance. We are especially grateful for the support we receive from Town President Larry Dominic and the Board of Trustees. Welcome to our library. I also want to thank Ishmael Vargas, our library president, and the library board of trustees, and my staff here at the library. It has taken some time, but we have transported the library into a true community center. My staff is amazing. They and in their talent shines through in their work with our patrons. We really push for technology here. We just upgraded our computers in our computer lab, and we are finishing up building our makerspace. We need technology because for some, this is their local library, and it is the only place where they can access internet, because they don't have their funds to do it at home. For patrons, updating our library technology will be a life-changing. It will open more doors and opportunities and tear down barriers to succeed with job services and educational programs. We are excited to be bringing in the new technology to our patrons to help them in their journey for being a lifelong learner. We would not have been able to do these services without the support of the Secretary of State and these grants like this. Cicero's budget is limited, and our board has made it a priority not to increase taxes or take on debt. It is a challenge to expand services without additional funding. With these funds, we will be able to increase technology without sacrificing our programs and deliver a high-quality services to Cicero patrons and what they deserve. Thank you so much.
Great job. And with that, I'll open up to any questions that you all may have.
criteria that made these 113 libraries eligible?
So it is based on, I'm going to say it so I don't get it wrong. In order to be eligible, we looked at communities that are eligible for updated equalization aid grant funding, which results from a low tax base. So Greg and the team did some research and looked at where those areas are. And again, we're not here to knock communities that have great resources for libraries. The reason that today is so important and this program is so important is twofold. Number one are the actual resources. And on their face, $27,000 might not sound like a lot, but hearing from these libraries and the calls we've been making, it's transformational for a lot of these libraries, especially in small towns and rural areas and poorer communities. There's a lot of things that have been on these libraries' wish list for a long time that, you know, in a few weeks they'll be able to snap their fingers and get it done. So the funding is important, but also awareness. When I use the anecdote of comparing Oak Park and Cicero, people are blown away. That is happening throughout the state of Illinois. And the message that we want as a state's librarian to let people know, and as a fact, we have some of the finest libraries in the country right here in the state of Illinois. And right down the street, you could have some of the most endangered, troubling libraries that you could imagine. We visited a library in East St. Louis last year, and they kept a snowplow right in the middle of the teen reading room. And then we asked them, like, is there a reason that the snowplow is here? Like, does it provide some, is it like a game? And they said, no, we have nowhere else to put it. And the library was the size of this room. The point is, let's do all we can to create some equity in our library system, because guess what? The people in East St. Louis need it just as much, probably more, than the people in nicer, you know, nicer places.
2 million isn't much. Are you looking for more from?
Yes. We are going to, you know, we are going to aggressively push for more in the future. That's very important to me. But this is year one. They're one-time grants, and our goal is to lobby the legislature every single year. But, you know, there are budgets and there are tough calls to make. But we want to continue to raise awareness on this issue.
Secretary, you mentioned that this is the first time that this tech grant funding is available for our libraries. Can I ask you what triggered this for you?
Great question. So I had the honor of serving on the board of the Chicago Public Libraries under Mayor Emanuel. And as we traveled the city and we traveled the state, to the example I just used, you would see libraries that were inspirational and beautiful and gorgeous, and they looked like stadiums. I talked about the library in Skokie, Illinois, which is literally ranked one of the top libraries in the country. We have a library in the West Loop in Chicago, which has recording studios and makers labs, and it's like an Ivy League school. And then you go right down the street, and you have, you know, libraries without air conditioning and lights falling off. That has always stuck with me. And now being able to be the state's librarian to try and do something to make a dent and to raise awareness has always been very important to me.
And then since Cicero is going to be one of the libraries receiving this grant, are we eligible next year, or say there is another grant? How is that going to work?
You should remain eligible. Unless Ken Griffin moves back to Cicero, I think you're probably going to be eligible. Yes, the answer is yes. But you know, these are one-time grants. Our goal is to continue this program going forward.
I do have a question. I'm actually come here to Cicero, and I also work for Veteran Public Library. And I know being bilingual, it's really important that we also have staff, not just only in this library, but in other libraries. Because I feel it being staffing, those who doesn't speak English or any other language, I should say that, we need also staff that can be hired in order to help our community to understand how technology can help our community, Hispanic community, and also other communities out there by having someone that speaks their own language.
I couldn't agree more. I know Sandra would agree with you as well. I know libraries are very focused on having bilingual, multilingual employees. I will also tell you, as someone who is Secretary of State trying to hire more bilingual employees, as a promise I made to Chuy Garcia a long time ago, it is tough to find people. We're even willing in the Secretary of State's office to pay them a little, even more. They actually get paid more. So we're doing all we can. I know our libraries are, but I could not agree more with you.
Or if you're looking for employee, I'm available.
Well, I will say no one's ever asked for a job at a press conference, so you're on the right track.
Duly noted.
Yes, yes. Anybody else?
I have just a quick,
Yes.
my name's Maria. I'm a lifelong resident of the town of Cicero. I wanted to personally thank you, Secretary Giannoulias, our Congressman, Tree Garcia, our great leader, Lisa Hernandez. I've watched you guys throughout your career in politics, and it's situations like this, the funding opportunities for the libraries, especially a community like the town of Cicero that really needs it the most. It is like leaders like you that the town needs and other town needs. Cicero will not forget what you guys are doing for the town of Cicero. So we want to thank you on behalf of Town President Larry Dominic and all the residents in the town of Cicero. Keep up the good work.
Thank you, and most importantly, yes, most importantly, you should thank Sandra and the amazing team here, because they are the true leaders. So with that, thank you all again for being here. Thank you for telling our story, and I hope everyone has a wonderful day. Thank you so much. Great job.
I did not.
You were prepared. Totally prepared.
It was perfect. Can I have a group picture? Yes.